Thanks for coming. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for inviting me over.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for coming in. My name is Rachel, and I'm a consultant here at McKinsey. Today, we are going to dissect a case about a company called Beautify. Are you ready to jump right in?
Yes, I'm ready.
Great, let's dive right in. This case study is about Beautify, a global prestige cosmetics company. They primarily sell their products in high end department stores like Harrods, and they also have an online presence through specialty retailers such as Sephora. Beautify's range of products includes makeup, fragrances, and skincare items sold under various brands. In the department stores, Beautify employs beauty consultants who play a pivotal role with consumers. These beauty consultants have many responsibilities. They approach passive customers, demonstrate their knowledge about Beautify's products, actively sell the products, and maintain a loyal customer base of repeat buyers. These beauty consultants are either directly hired by Beautify or sourced from specialist recruitment agencies. Once on board, Beautify is responsible for their selection, training, and payment. The way this works within the company is that each brand manages beauty consultants independently in each country. So, for example, a consultant could be part of the Chanel team in one store. However, the retail landscape is changing, with consumers shifting more to online shopping, leaving many beauty consultants in empty department stores. Considering this, Beautify's president and COO have engaged our firm, McKinsey, to help evaluate if training the majority of beauty consultants to use virtual channels to connect with customers could be profitable. Beautify plans to support its current staff of beauty consultants in transitioning to become virtual social media beauty advisors. These consultants would still be responsible for direct consumer engagement and expected to maintain and grow a group of their clients. They would be selling products through their own pages on beautify.com, be making appearances at major retail outlets, and being active on all social media platforms. Your task here is to identify what possible factors Beautify should consider when shifting this group of employees toward a new set of responsibilities. So, where would you like to start?
All right, could you give me 30 seconds to gather my thoughts, please?
Absolutely, take your time. I'm here to answer any questions you might have once you've developed your initial thoughts.
Okay, so I think there are three main points. Firstly, I would like to think about the consumer response. So, how would customers actually react to having their sales experience moved online? Would they feel as comfortable with spending a large amount of money on a product without being able to talk to a human to answer specific questions first? Would they be comfortable spending such a large amount of money on a product if they can't test out the product, hold it, smell it, whatever the product is, first in person? Secondly, I'd like to look at the retailer response. A lot of these brands have built up a very luxury catered sales experience, and this very much ties into their brand image as luxury high end products. Would they be happy to switch to a virtual experience where there are a lot of implications with like fast fashion and like Primark and Shein and very like anti luxury high end brands? And thirdly, consultant adaptations. I'd like to consider what exactly this would entail for consultants. Would we need as many consultants? Bear in mind, social media is online, so it should be pretty scalable. So we might not need as many consultants doing the job as we did. And also, would these consultants be happy? Would they be able to earn as much? And so forth.
Those are excellent points you've raised. Starting with consumer response, it will indeed be crucial to understand how customers feel about this shift to online engagement. What kind of strategies can Beautify employ to ensure customer comfort with this new model?
Um,
Secondly,
oh, okay, yeah. So with consumer response, I think that a very simple strategy would be replicating the experience and perhaps testing it out with consumers in a maybe a testing group first, so they don't have to fully commit to buying stuff. Um, yeah, so they could basically have a testing group where they test this out with small consumers, offer like limited spaces to buy stuff online, and see if consumers are happy with this sales process. So I think simulating the transition before committing to the transition is a good way to evaluate this.
that's a great idea. Testing the idea with a small group of consumers could indeed provide valuable insights. How would you propose Beautify select this group of test consumers, and what factors should they consider to ensure the feedback is representative of the broader customer base?
So I think that perhaps early adopters is a good group to test this out with, even though the feedback might not be fully representative of the general customer base. Because I think with transitioning luxury brands online, you aren't trying to necessarily fit into an existing customer segment. You're trying to create a new customer segment as maybe luxury and fast fashion esque practices haven't really blended yet. So look at maybe people who shop online on other stores like Primark or Shein, and see if you can identify a subset of users who are also in that category, and perhaps test out their response to switching to online, as they might have a more informed and expert in the sense that they've used fast online sales before, expert opinion.
That's an insightful approach. Targeting early adopters and individuals who are already comfortable with online shopping could pave the way for this new segment. Considering unique traits of these consumers could indeed make the transition smoother and more successful. Now, how about the retailer's response? How can Beautify maintain its luxury brand image in a virtual setting, especially when compared to fast fashion or lower end brands?
I think that it comes down to two or three things. Firstly, user experience. So, do users still feel like they're getting the same catered experience like they do in person? And perhaps simulating human conversations via chatbots or AI chatbots to bring that same sort of you can talk and ask questions to a real like a real organic person before committing a large amount of money could be useful. I think placing a big need on like brand online brand image, like user experience, like user interface, and also when stuff is delivered, like packaging, to still give the sense that like don't just put it in like a cardboard DPD parcel. Like make sure that all of that has the same sort of luxury appeal as it does in person. So yeah, I'd say those two things can help with brand image.
Excellent thoughts. Enhancing user experience through chatbots and prioritizing packaging and delivery to maintain the luxurious feel are crucial points. These changes would indeed help Beautify retain its luxury essence in the online space. Now let's consider the consultants. What strategies can Beautify implement to ensure job satisfaction and proper compensation in this new model? Also, what possible challenges could they face during this transition, and how might they address them?
So I think with consultant adaptations, there are probably two or three things that would be important to consider. So one is the sort of nature, the more like scalable nature of an online business. So consultants in shop are limited by time and space. Like they can only be in one shop at one point in time. So there are a limited number of clients they can cater to, but online there's a lot more scalability. So I think it'll be more less of a matter of training all the consultants to switch go online, but finding the best ones who perhaps already have social media followings and picking those to sort of represent Beautify going forward, and unfortunately letting go of the rest of the consultants, or perhaps switching them to different roles. Maybe they can be responsible for like if Beautify, for example, implemented chatbots, they could be responsible for some of the more service based features that Beautify would want to transition to.
Your ideas about leveraging the scalability of the online business model and retraining consultants accordingly is indeed an important element of this transition. Identifying those consultants who are already well versed with social media and can represent the brand effectively online is a key point. At the same time, finding new roles within the company for the remaining consultants could be a good way to ensure job satisfaction and retain talent. Now, I'd like to shift our focus a bit. Imagine that you are a current Beautify customer who mostly shops at your local department store because you enjoy the high touch service offered by in store consultants. What features would make you consider switching to a mostly virtual sales experience?
So I would say physically, tangibly being able to try out the products beforehand. So having samples delivered to me, and like be it perfume samples or literally like Well, as much as possible, one of the product is being able to actually experience it in person, in real life, before committing to buying the product. I think that's a huge advantage that stores have over online shops. And I think having a human in the loop that's accessible at any point in time, be it on a call or on a chatbot, as I mentioned earlier, could definitely enhance the experience for me as well. So perhaps Beautify's management should consider these things before, before switching to online. How you can optimize these things in the consumer's experience.
You bring up two important aspects that customers value in an in store experience: the ability to try products before purchasing and instant access to a human representative for any queries. Incorporating these elements into a virtual platform could indeed encourage more customers to switch to online shopping. How do you think Beautify could effectively implement these features in an online setting?
I think the first one is particularly hard to implement because we already suffer from some sort of last mile problem in terms of delivery. So delivering samples which consumers wouldn't even be paying for is a challenge in of itself. I think Beautify already has a lot of stores in prime. Sorry, these yeah, Beautify would already have a lot of stores in prime locations. So perhaps using these as sort of dark store setups could help to make the consumer getting these things to consumers easier, as well as perhaps latest developments in technologies. So you can use sort of bot delivery. So it would be very cheap to transport stuff from these dark stores to people's houses. So I think this could be something that might be financially viable for Beautify, but I agree it would be a challenge. In terms of the second point, I think there are a lot of services that provide, like Intercom, that provide easy ways to communicate with real people in the sales process, and also AI services that sort of simulate this to a decent standard. So Beautify could take advantages of these to achieve both these points.
Those are absolutely valid points.
Thank you.
Util-
Thank you. Sorry, continue.
Absolutely. Now let's consider an investment scenario for Beautify. The company is considering investing $50 million in IT, $25 million in training, $50 million in remodeling department store counters, and $25 million in inventory. In addition to this, the yearly costs to shift advisors to the virtual model will be $10 million. On the other hand, it's expected that advisors will bring a 10% boost to revenue. The current revenue is $1, $3 billion. Can you calculate how long it will take for the investment to become profitable?
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to calculate is the current annual cost that the current cost of switching, which would be the fixed cost. So that would be 50 plus 25 plus 50, which is 125 million. Okay. Then I'm going to consider the fact that your profit would be 130 million. Uh, okay. And the Beautify consultants is 10 million. So the total net cost is 135 million. And so 135 million divided by 130 million is 1.04 years.
You're on the right track, but it seems like there's a minor error in your calculations. The total investment Beautify is considering, which includes IT, training, remodeling, and inventory, actually sums up to $150 million.
Wait, could you repeat the numbers for the IT training remodeling? Because I thought there was 50 million, 25 million, and 50 million.
Apologies for any confusion. Sure, let me repeat the numbers. The company is considering investing $50 million in IT, $25 million in training, $50 million in remodeling department store counters, and $25 million in inventory. This totals to
Oh yeah,
150.
yeah, you're right. It's 150 million. So it would be 150 million. And so instead of 125 million, we'd have 160 million. So it would be okay, well, 150. So the net profit Beautify would make every year would be 120 million, And so 150 million, because you take off 10 million in recurring annual revenue for the consultants. So 150 million divided by 120 million is 1.25 years.
That's correct. It would take 25 years or 1 year and 3 months for the investment to become profitable. Well done. Do you feel ready to move on to the next section?
Yeah, sure.
Fantastic. You've done a great job analyzing the case and proposing thoughtful solutions. I appreciate the hard work and preparation you brought to this session. I hope you found it insightful and beneficial. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.